Hey everyone, welcome to the Office 365 or Microsoft 365 Pulse. You are joined with myself, Tamara, and Tom. Me and the two T's. We could almost make an at if we had another A and be like nerdy in Star Wars, which is relevant for the
TAT, boom,
about to say, which
boom,
is relevant for the
boom.
Hoth background I got going on.
There you go.
But anyways, welcome everyone to the Pulse. As always, we're going to be going over new updates to the Office 365 roadmap for this week. Not a huge list, but some exciting items on there. As you go through and look at it, as always, there is in development, rolling out, launched, and then maybe a few canceled. It follows a pretty set pattern when you're going through and looking at stuff is released. It first shows up in the roadmap and in development as they're going through and making the item and want everyone aware of what's coming. Once they start rolling it out at some point in the release cycle, whether it's first release all the way up to everybody but the people who don't want their tenant messed with has it, it's in rolling out, and then finally it goes to launch. So we like to go through the roadmap every week and talk about the changes that we see and what we think is really cool. So without further ado, we'll go ahead and let Tamara get us started.
Fabulous. Microsoft Teams supportive transcription for Teams for Azure Virtual Desktop on virtual desktop infrastructure. So users on virtual machines can use transcriptions once the feature is available. This is due out in June of this year. Live transcripts provide a way to follow along with what's being said and who said it. After the meeting, the transcript file is automatically saved in the chat tab for the meeting. This is great. Nobody has to take notes anymore.
Love it.
But it is verbatim, everything that happened in the meeting. So it is going to be a long read.
Yeah, it's nice to have though. It actually the transcription is pretty good. Tom's talked about this several times when we talk about like voice to text. It captures stuff pretty accurately, and it's nice if you're ever going back and trying to look. We record a decent amount of our meetings with our customers just so we can track what's going on. If you're ever going back and looking like, oh, I don't know when we remember when we talked about this, you can control find through the transcript and find stuff super easy to get an idea when stuff's going through.
That
would be really good for me too when I'm doing brainstorming and wording with other people, and they'll say, okay, so we need da 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 da, and I'll spit out something that sounds awesome. They'll go, that's great. Can you repeat that? I'm like, nope. All I know is it sounded great coming out of my mouth, and I don't remember what it was.
He's gone now.
Yeah, for most of our customers, I've switched to recording most of the meeting options when we can, just so that I have them. Our team already takes pretty good notes, but I found having the recordings is good. I have had a couple situations in the last year where it's like, I'm pretty sure I said this, but I don't remember exactly what I said. So being able to go back and look at the recording is good. And by default, in our tenant, at least in the Planet tenant, when you record, transcription automatically starts for us too. So I always have that transcription going on, which is nice. This is definitely a feature I use. Tom, what about you?
So again, as Adam said, there's not a whole lot out there. The one that I'll go ahead and mention this time is Outlook, the Loop components in Mail. So if you haven't been keeping up with things, Loop is this feature that Microsoft is starting to invest more in and push. And that is you can put things like bulleted lists or tables or chunks of text like little mini documents or something, and you can stick that in, say, a Teams chat and a SharePoint page and now an email, and people can go out there. Everybody can work on this like it's collaborative editing, and it gets updated everywhere where that loop component is. And loop is actually a .fluid file that gets stored in your OneDrive. So it's actually a file
Fluid
that's getting
framework.
updated. A framework, fluid framework. So what they're doing now is these live interactive objects that can embed across Microsoft 365 canvases, chat and email. It's now actually coming out to email messages. So I'm guessing that by June, you're going to start to see a little icon in there that says, hey, embed a loop component here, which would be like the table or whatever. And you'll be able to put that out there. People who see the email can make updates to it. Whenever somebody goes out to look at an email, they'll see all the updates that have been done prior to them looking at the email because it's updating in real live time. Should be interesting. I'm still not entirely, oh my God, this is going to change my world, but I think it adds a couple of neat features that will probably play well once the use cases start to pile up correctly.
Yeah, we've been hearing about the fluid framework for like 2 years now.
Yeah.
But at its core, it's a cool concept. The idea is you can do stuff like you could go in and share a table or a bulleted list, like Tom was saying, and put that in Teams. And then that's a living thing that as it gets changed, it gets updated in the document you took it from or stuff like that. Same way that they're talking about here with email. It's basically putting in something that's almost like a living thing that could be modified and changed that ultimately is referenced back to points. The idea behind it is supposed to give you that better collaboration features that you'd get if you were like co-editing a document in Word or something like that through the various applications that exist with Microsoft. So cool to see.
And it's nice in the fact that you could have this, one loop file that you have. You could have that same file in both a Teams chat and email. Send the email out to some people, other people are in chat. Everybody gets to see it in their, method that they would prefer deal with it. Yeah. And everybody's seeing the updates. So it's not like the email people are only seeing the email updates, chat people are only seeing chat. No, everybody's seeing everything because it is a file that is being collaboratively edited and visible to everybody in real time.
So I guess my question would be, does it work for people outside of your organization? If you're not allowed to share files in OneDrive with people outside of your organization.
Yeah, they would need access to your OneDrive.
Yeah.
What, Adam?
I'm guessing it's permission-based. I agree with what Tom said. I imagine if you have it set where you can't share OneDrive files externally or that person doesn't have the permissions, that it wouldn't work just because they would basically be trying to access a real live file that's not updating for them. But I would imagine if you have the permissions, it would.
And if you went external, if somebody tried to open that in Gmail, I'm not sure Gmail would know what to do with a .fluid file where if they opened it in Outlook, very well could be that it does work for them. Who knows?
Yeah, this is also probably more relevant too. What we talked about last week with the new teams, where they're going to have teams that can go cross-tenant and work as a normal team. I imagine stuff like that is definitely going to be easier in the fluid framework and stuff like that. It's because, again, we talked last week about it. Like right now, the experience of going into another team's tenant is kind of clunky.
Arduous.
Right.
Yeah, but once they come out, I imagine stuff like this with the fluid framework gets easier.
Yeah, it just depends on how useful the components are. If the components are useful, people will use them.
Yeah.
Yep.
There's one thing I wanted to mention. They have an update for both the government clouds and the regular clouds. I don't know a lot of the details here, but I imagine this could potentially be good. It's basically a new search feature. So basically a new search for basic audit and advanced audit for the Compliance Center. All it says is that the new search offers increased reliability and efficiency for search jobs and allows you to do the search in the background and save for later. So as you're going through and looking for information, looking for stuff inside of your tenant, when you're doing audits, so you're going through and trying to see everything that you have, this is basically going to allow you to search supposedly a better search function than has existed there, and also be able to come back and reference those searches later, which again, I guess is cool. And this is both coming out to regular commercial clouds and GCC clouds.
Cool.
Anyone else have anything they wanted to talk about in the development?
I don't know.
Nope.
All right, Tom, you want to take us into rolling out?
Sure. Again, rolling out has even fewer items in it than in development did. The one thing that I'll go ahead and touch on is in Microsoft Teams, you're now going to be able to share the system audio from meetings on the web. So if you're in a Teams client, you've always been able to say, hey, I'm going to share my screen, and you can click a little button that says, yes, I want to share the audio. So anything playing on your computer actually comes across in Teams. Well, now they're going to give you that same ability in the browser, which I think is good. Feature parity is awesome. Listed for April, and that will be GCC and worldwide. So you should be seeing it coming soon. Sorry if you're DoD or GCC high.
Or
Sorry,
soon.
Good luck.
Or soon to the other ones.
Yeah, they're going to be releasing a Office 365 GCC high secret. Like another for like top secret clearance.
Oh yeah.
Okay. They're gonna be releasing Office or like M365 GCC high designation secret, which is like somewhere between GCC high and DoD.
Yeah, it's an impact level. Oh wait, somewhere between that?
I believe
Isn't
so.
it the other side of DoD because it's an impact level 6 and DoD is an impact level 5?
Yeah, I guess it probably would be. Yes, because it is an impact level 6. You are correct. So I guess
It'd be
this
on
is
the
even
other
a step
side of
further
DoD.
than DoD. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's like triple top secret then.
Yeah. So that means a new feature will come out 7 years from now.
We're going to start you back on Windows 3.1 here.
This is why you can't have nice things.
You get Oregon Trail, and that's it.
And it's on cassette.
Yeah. Anything you wanted to talk about in rolling out, Tamara?
Sorry. Now I just got in my head dysentery for everybody.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking too. Tom has died of dysentery.
Yep. Just leave on the side of the trail. All right, Microsoft Teams presenter mode. You now will get controls to move and resize the presenter video. So presenter mode video controls enable presenters to move and resize presenter video feed and automatically adjust content size accordingly. Now this can be applied to all modes on the desktop or window sharing, including standout, side by side, and reporter. And this is rolling out to everybody in April. So we are in April. So that'll be interesting. This is especially important when I'll just give you a for instance. I'm so glad they have presenter mode now because I got a call from a customer and they had a big muckety muck doing a presentation, and this is before presenter mode, and the grand poobahs had their camera on. Nobody else had their camera on except for the organizer. So it was just the grand poobahs and the organizer, and they're recording the video. And she doesn't know she's being recorded. She's like, I have never been so happy that I have paid attention in a meeting in my entire life. So this, where you can designate what video and what size the video is, along with the content, I think is really going to be a good thing. Yeah.
I don't have really anything that gets me excited. Anything y'all want to say before we move on?
I'm ready to move on.
All right. Tamara, you want to go ahead and get us started and launch, which is probably our biggest section this week?
Yeah, sure. I'll start off launch. Yammer, 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 Yammer. There was so much Yammer love going on. So Yammer upvote answers to Yammer questions. This rolled out in March. And this feature allows people to upvote answers that they find useful and appropriate. And it'll be available for both questions in communities and live events. Then the Yammer profile page updates. They've revamped the profile page with cover photo, followers and following, right rail, and joined communities. Then we also have Yammer, 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 Yammer. Admin enhancements for the new Yammer. So Yammer admins can enable a new Yammer for all users while being provided an opt-out option solely for admins. So admins will have the ability to toggle between this classic Yammer experience and the new Yammer experience if they need to validate user feedback or access features only available in classic Yammer. But wait, there's more. When this rolled out for OneNote, this got a standing ovation. And it's dark mode in Yammer. So dark mode can be enabled to view lighter text on a dark background. So again, standing ovation for that. Last one, I swear to goodness, I'm not eating up everything that's fit to print, but Yammer community app in Teams. So notification for when you've been added to a community. You'll receive a notification in Microsoft Teams when somebody adds you to a Yammer community, and that's rolling out worldwide or rolled out worldwide in March.
Tom, what about yourself?
I'm done now with Yammer.
Wow. She even left me stuff, which I wouldn't have touched Yammer anyway, so it's no big deal. A couple things. I'm going to lump two of them together, OneDrive and SharePoint, and also OneDrive by itself. OneDrive and SharePoint has a new improved move or copy user experience. So it is a little bit easier now to say, hey, I've got this file or folder that I want to copy from one SharePoint site or library to another library, or even to a different site. It makes it a little bit easier to target where you're going with it. And then OneDrive has a new command bar, which I love the write-up on this. The simplified view allows you to focus on the content, and that is visually pleasing. So anything for visually pleasing. The last one I wanted to mention was Whiteboard. Keep in mind, if you're a Whiteboard user, that Whiteboard on Windows has been revamped. They don't go into a lot of details about what was revamped, but they have a whole laundry list of provides a freeform intelligent canvas where teams can ideate, I hate that word, create and collaborate visually on the web or via the cloud, gives you shapes, adopts user-centric approach, focus on marquee features, insert templates, images, sticky notes, text box, and stickers, yay, thus keeping the interface clean and the user experience simple yet effective. I've always thought that the app for Whiteboard was far better than the browser version, and they interact with each other. So if you open something in the cloud, you can go to the desktop version of Whiteboard, and be able to see the same thing there. They're getting to be better on feature parity. It used to be the browser was not good at all, but it's better now. But again, if you're using Whiteboard a lot, you may want to check out the latest Windows version of it and see if that works really well for you. That's GCC and worldwide, and was out in February.
Great.
So two things of note. One that I thought was actually kind of a good feature, and one I just think is worth noting because it was kind of cool. The first thing I'll say is end-to-end encryption for one-on-one Teams calls for GCCI and DoD. Just nice to have something that you will definitely want to have to meet certain compliance regulations if you're talking about sensitive information. So seeing that rolled out, that actually launched this month, so nice to see that going there. I kind of think that goes hand in hand with another update that they had, which if you went through and looked at it, let me find it. It was.
Come on, Scroll Monster.
There we go. Microsoft 365 data loss prevention with on-premise scanner. So without going too deep into technical nerdy stuff, there is an Azure information protection scanner that comes as part of something you can download if you have Cloud App Security. What is it intended for is a program that you can run on-premise file directories to go through and look for sensitive information type to be able to log it. It's similar to the file plan action that you can take in Cloud App Security, which is now Defender for Cloud Apps. And it basically means you can go in and scan files and trigger an alert on those files based off of sensitive information types. So you could go in there and say, like, I want to look for all the credit cards that I have sitting on files in my on-premise directory. And it will go through and scan and tell you that. Basically, that's now being released fully based off of your DLP policies for the US government clouds, which is nice. Final thing Go ahead, Tamara.
Before you move on, for that, do you have to set up the patterns for it to look for, or do they have choices for the patterns?
So there's a whole bunch of preset templates that you can use, like electronic healthcare information, bank records, social security numbers, stuff like that. All of those are native, and you can go in and do. You can create your own for certain things. So who I work with probably overwhelmingly in this area is customers that need to be CMMC compliant, which are basically Department of Defense contractors. And primarily what they're trying to protect is classified undisclosed information, GUI. The problem with classified undisclosed information is it can be anything. Like there's no rhyme or reason to what is classified undisclosed. It's just something that is classified that you can't be sharing. But it could be a chemical formula, it could be someone's name, it could be a logistical operation, like it could be any number of things. So you're not going to be able to write an algorithm to go through and find that efficiently. But for stuff like social security numbers, for electronic healthcare, for bank records, for that type of stuff, the type of stuff you can think of traditionally would have in DLP, you could definitely go through and create an algorithm and scan based off of this with the AIP scanner, which would be nice.
Great.
Final thing I'll mention, just because I think it's cool, I don't even think the feature itself matters, but we are now at version 100 of the Microsoft Edge updates. If you follow what is going on and looking at the updates on the roadmap, they would always increment by one. So, couple months ago, we were at like 92, 93 version, and every couple of weeks they would release a new one. We, in March of this year, are hitting version 100 of Edge. So the updates that you see is for version 100, which I just thought was kind of cool.
I must laugh when that came out. I saw somebody posted on Twitter. It's like, now we'll find out how many browsers are not able to use 3-digit version numbers.
Yeah.
Oh,
Tamara, you want to cover the canceled ones for us?
no, because I've already closed my spreadsheet.
Tom, you
I'll
want to
go
cover the
ahead and
canceled ones
cancel
for
them.
us?
I'll go into radio voice here. Here we go, people. So we have SharePoint People Cutout tab for stock images. So this feature, yeah, that is Cutout tab. This feature is canceled as a result of customer feedback. So apparently they're not including images of people without a background anymore. It doesn't say if it's going to be redone. It's canceled and people didn't like it, I guess. The second one is Microsoft Teams Rooms Managed Services Location-Based Role Scope. So this item has been delayed and will be added back into the roadmap when the schedule is determined. And the final one, another tongue twister for me, Microsoft Teams Rooms Managed Services Room Occupancy Reports. This has also been delayed and will be added back to the roadmap when the schedule is determined. So I'm guessing those two were probably linked to each other, and they're probably going to take them and then wrap them into some release to be done at a future date. So
Cool. Well, yeah, short time this week, guys. If you do celebrate Easter, we hope you have a good Easter with your family and have fun looking for eggs or whatever you do.
for all of our friends who are Jewish, you've got Passover, so
Yep.
you've got that going on.
So
And for the rest of you, just have a fabulous weekend.
Yeah, no, for real. So funnily enough, my brother and I are literally doing nothing because my father's birthday was last weekend. So we did like all of the things then. So we are being lazy and trying to avoid people this weekend, which is my ideal weekend. So.
I love it.
But yeah, guys, I hope you guys have.
Regroup.
Yeah, basically. I hope you guys have a wonderful week. Thank you for joining us. We'll be back next week with more updates. And yeah, have a wonderful time.
All right.
Bye,
Have a
everyone.
good one, everybody. Bye.